Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here. Back at Joe Boo's Man Cave, I got to tell you, the set's a little bit dusty after being gone. Damn. For 11 days. Got to get this place cleaned up, got to get everything hooked back up and everything else from being on the road. But I got to tell you, it is great to be back home. It's always nice to travel, but I got to tell you, I just love being at home. It's the off season now. It's the 5th of February. We are 1 month away from teams having to designate franchise players, or being able to designate franchise players before they have the opportunity to become free agents. The 11th, 5 weeks from now, teams can start negotiating with free agents. So the Cowboys have a lot of work to do between now and then to decide who they want to keep of their own free agents and if they do want to go out and get some other guys. But in the meantime, I got up this morning and man, it was just nice to sleep in my bed again. Oh my God, it was nice to sleep in my bed. And when I woke up, Law Nation was live streaming first thing this morning. I was like, wow, okay, let me see what I missed, because driving the 10 hours back from Atlanta and things, you get out of the loop. But I wanted to see what was what, who's who. I'm sorry, the camera's moving around here on me. Still don't have everything set up back as usual. Hopefully the sound's okay. His topic was, is Kellen Moore the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? And I joined in the live stream there, and it's got me thinking, but it's possible because, as he pointed out, when you think about Jason Garrett didn't have experience as head coach or anything like that. He was a quarterback's coach under Nick Saban with the Miami Dolphins for a year, and the Cowboys immediately hired him as offensive coordinator. Okay, similar right there. Similar careers, although, Jason Garrett got a couple of rings because he was part of the Cowboys back in the 90s, but he was basically a backup. Played a couple of games here, that famous Thanksgiving one, but never really was the great quarterback, and so to speak, and that's Kellen Moore as well. So you look at that dynamic and you say, okay, that's definitely a possibility. Then you look at the dynamics of the Dallas Cowboys because, Jason Garrett went from being offensive coordinator to assistant head coach to head coach with very little experience. And the thing we know about the Dallas Cowboys is they like to hire from within. They like to hire people they're familiar with, that have worked with the organization or played with the organization. So you look at that and say, yeah, that does make sense. It really does. But I sense with the Dallas Cowboys a little more sense of urgency. I believe that Stephen Jones is more apt to say, we need to get this thing done. We're not ready to wait. And I think that he's correct that the Cowboys will hire from within. But I believe it's more of Chris Richard than Kellen Moore. And the reason I say that is because you look at the impact just of the defense being able to turn up a notch. Yeah, we failed against the Rams, but as we learned in the Super Bowl, anybody can have a bad day. So, any given Sunday, of course, is a thing. And when you look at the defense this year, that defense kept the team in games that we had no business being in. And it was basically still, Chris Richard was the passing coordinator and coach. He wasn't quite yet the coordinator. Now, Rod Martinelli's going to be there, and I'm hoping he's continuing to work with the line and stuff. But now we're going to see what Chris Richard can do with that defense now that he'll be more in control. He's got his feet wet with the Cowboys organization, and now he can be able to really implement his system fully. And if he can do anything like he did with Seattle, where we're talking about 3 years of being the number one scoring defense, and one of the main reasons they won that Super Bowl, and you can look at it and say one of the reasons right now why they're not quite there is their defense isn't as strong as it once was. And if he can continue to mentor guys like Byron Jones and make them the best players they can be, you got to look at that and say maybe we need to implement it for the whole team. So that would be my counter to Law Nation. Look at it. His numbers and ideas and everything else do fit the narrative of what Jerry and Stephen Jones do, hiring from within. But I think that they're looking at this from a different point of view of if Jason Garrett isn't the guy, well, we don't extend the contract. We're not on the chain for anything more than that 1 year. If he does, we'll reward him. We'll keep him in the family, 5-year contract, whatever. If he's not, you've got his system there. But you now also have somebody who is a candidate to become a head coach right there in the organization. A guy who's been part of a Super Bowl winning team and a Super Bowl participating team that should have won, but it wasn't the fault of the defense, who can step in if there seems to be a falter going into next year. Whereas this year, you kind of looked at it and said, well, if we got rid of Jason Garrett in the middle of the season, what are we doing? Now you got somebody that's in the organization. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. Now, the amazing thing, not amazing thing, I guess you could say, I should say the sad thing is, when you look at the great coaches out there, the Bill Walshes, or you look at Bill Parcells or Joe Gibbs and these guys, you look at them and there's a coaching tree. Bill Belichick. You look at it and see guys that were underneath of these coaches that become great coaches as well, or at least become head coaches as well. Not all of them are going to be hits and things. I mean, Josh McDaniels, of course, being under Bill Belichick, laid an egg with Denver and came back home to be offensive coordinator. But you look at some guys that end up being a coaching tree where the philosophy, the attitude, and everything else that these coaches have are being instilled on their coaching staff. And with Jason Garrett's coaching staff, there is none. There's nobody who has left the Dallas Cowboys organization and gone on to be a great coach anywhere else or to be a head coach anywhere else. And that's kind of telling when you think about it. And you look at the coaching staff we have right now, most of it is tied to Jason Garrett being underneath Nick Saban with the Miami Dolphins. Scott Linehan was there. Jason Garrett was there. And you look at Linehan has basically his coaching tree that followed him from the Lions. That's where Kellen Moore started out, was with the Lions and as a backup quarterback, and followed along with Scott Linehan and became the the quarterback coach and now the offensive coordinator. So as we start looking at the philosophy and the coaching trees, we don't have one on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll have to wait and see how that dynamic is going to work and so on. Law could be 100% right that Kellen Moore is being groomed to be the next head coach. From what Dak has said, he believes in the guy, thinks he's got a great mind and things. That could be, of course, that Dak's not trying to rock the boat. You don't know, of course, because you always want to toe the company line and put the best face forward. But, John Gruden famously said that he's got a great mind. And the thing that I'll say is this. After Scott Linehan, I'm ready to see somebody else. And I know he was under Scott Linehan, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't evolve as a play caller. All the disciples of the West Coast offense of Bill Walsh have different varying degrees of that offense. It gets tweaked to where they go with the players that they have and so forth. So it's a little bit different, if you follow what I'm saying. The hope for me is Kellen Moore looks at Dak Prescott and says, here's the things that you do really well. We know you are better with being outside of the pocket. So we're going to do more bootlegs. We're going to do more run-pass options. You are better in a hurry-up offense. So we're going to sprinkle in some hurry-up offense to surprise defenses from time to time, just to keep the flow of the game going, get you really pumped up and to wear out defenses. We're going to look at doing three-step dropbacks where we've got great pass rushers, so that way we're not trying to make you stand in the pocket while you're getting ready to get lit up, jacked up, so to speak. We're going to look at getting the tight end more involved, like say a New England or a Eagles team where the tight end is the security blanket, the go-to guy when things go wrong. And if he can do these things, it doesn't, make no mistake, it's not major things we need to do differently. It's not. It's being able to be less predictable is the bottom line. And that's the problem we've had. It's not a matter of the guys not being able to execute plays. It's the fact that the other team knows what plays you're trying to execute. So if Kellen Moore, for nothing other reason, can just change the look up a little bit, he'll be successful. But we'll see. So, Law, you and I, we got some working stuff to do this off season. I plan on seeing you up here as well as Vosh because we need to start working on the mock drafts and getting ready for the draft. Hopefully, we'll be seeing both of you guys there. But as always, guys, I am so happy to be back here at home. I'm Mark Holmes, and I'll see you guys soon.